Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our World of Work Resume Writing Bootcamp Workshop. This is part of our World of Work series, and we just want to give a shout out to Republic Bank, our sponsor, who has made this possible through the Power to Make a Difference program with Republic Bank. So let's have some love for Republic Bank in the chat. Today's session is going to be awesome. We have a fun interactive session this afternoon. And many of you all have been to our resume writing workshops. A few of you might have even had a one-on-one critique. So at this bootcamp, it's time for you guys to put your resume to the test. In this session, we're going to be going through your resume section by section, and you will have the opportunity to follow with your resume and make those changes. And most importantly, ask those questions. So we're going to be doing the questions throughout the session. So we want you to go ahead and put it in the chat, uh, or there's also the possibility of asking the question via your audio. So if you prefer to ask your question through your mic, all you have to do is raise your hand and our presenter will acknowledge you, and then you will be given the capability to unmute your mic. Another really exciting part of the session today also is some of you all are going to get the opportunity to have your resume critiqued by our facilitator this afternoon. And believe you me, you guys want to take advantage of this opportunity. We can't do every one, but hopefully we'll be able to do a few. So let me give you guys some instructions on how to go about doing that. We are going to be sharing a link in the chat where you can upload your resume. You can do that. We'll share it throughout the session, but it's in the chat right now. So if you have your resume ready, you can upload it. Just a couple of things for you to note. We will block out your contact information, so that's not going to be shared with everybody today in the session. And I also want you guys to know that this is a safe place, this is a safe environment. You don't have to worry about being embarrassed or getting somebody correcting some of these things, well, not really correcting, but just helping you to improve what you already have, right? So we all started somewhere and we're all here to learn together. You're probably going to teach us a few things with the questions that you all are going to be asking, and you're going to be learning from our facilitator here this afternoon. So really exciting session. And also we have a giveaway. One lucky winner is going to be able to have a one-on-one resume critique with our facilitator, Akeem Branford, here this afternoon. So you guys want to make sure and stick around till the end. That's my cue. That's how we're going to be picking our winners. Stick around to the end so that you could possibly be that lucky individual who gets that one-on-one critique with Akeem Branford. So we have a few sessions next week. Just let me just quickly point that out to you guys. We have our WOW Dress for Success, part of our interview preparation series. So you'll want to make sure and sign up for that. It's next week, Thursday. And we also have part of our career development month. We have our preparing for global opportunities. That's going to be next week, Friday. And that's also going to be an interesting session. You're going to be able to hear from some of our international stakeholders about global hiring opportunities and how you can prepare for that. So you want to look out for those sessions as well. So I think I've been talking enough, but without further ado, I want to just take the time to introduce our facilitator here this afternoon. Akeem Branford is our facilitator for today, and he's a seasoned HR professional with experience at all levels of human resource management and industrial relations. He's a successful entrepreneur who has built his business on respect, honesty, transparency, fair and ethical practice, professionalism, integrity, and commitment. So, guys, let's give Akeem a warm welcome this afternoon. as we bring him onto the floor to speak with you guys today.
Good day, everyone, and thank you so much for that introduction, Nandy. I will definitely go into a bit about myself so everyone will know a little bit more about me. But first and foremost, I want to thank everyone. I think we have about 42 people on today, so minus myself, 41 people. That's 41 young minds that wants to make sure that their resume is in top-notch form to be hired so that they can get hired and they're able to land the jobs of their dreams. So again, thank you everyone for joining me today. Today, my session is titled Resume Building, Your Window to the World. Now, I'm not here to teach you all resume building in terms of being an introductory session or anything like that. It's my assumption that, all of us would have had some sort of exposure to resume writing so that we would know what are the basics that we're supposed to do. So my job today as a qualified master resume writer is to make sure that you all have all those little fine tuning, those little things that we don't think about too much, but those are the things that separate us. The market is very, very tough. We're all aware of that. We all know that we're competing with people from all over the world all the time. So you want to give yourself that edge over another person who's applying as well. So I'll jump into just telling you all a bit about me. I am a certified international master resume writer, so I'm qualified to do this for you all today. I am the managing director of my own organization, so entrepreneurialism is definitely a big part of who I am. I'm based in New York City and Trinidad and Tobago. So I am in New York right now, hence the sweater. I'm a local, right? I have written over 1,000 resumes for people all over the world. So Canada, US, UK, all over. And I'm very passionate about people development. So that's why today I am here to assist you all to make sure that you all can produce a winning resume. All right. So we have a 5-point plan today, right? So we're going to discuss 5 things. International resume writing fundamentals. We're going to identify common mistakes. We're going to discuss what the resume of a modern job seeker is supposed to look like. We're going to further discuss the cohesion between skills and experience. And we're also going to discuss some resume tips and tricks. Now, guys, if you have any questions for me, because I may not be able to exactly see the chat, I will try my best to while I'm speaking. But if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand, right? I want you all to maximize on this experience. It's not going to mean anything for you or me if you leave this session without asking the questions that you want to ask me. So please take advantage of it, right? Great. So when you all would have done your prior sessions, you would have learned about the difference between a resume and a cover letter. You would have also learned about different types of resumes also. So you'd have learned about the grabber, the magnet resume, you'd have learned about senior professional resume, functional resume, all of those good stuff. So what you need to do is one of the first things you do with your resume is decide whether you need a resume or a CV. Right? So it is my hope that that decision was already done and you would have decided on a resume. However, there are particular fields that require CVs. So if you're in the medical, if you're into the medical faculty, also if you're pursuing a career in academia or even a career in law. Now, oddly enough, I noticed within the past 5 years, I would say about that's when lawyers are now starting to use resumes, but I remember prior 10 years ago doing CVs for lawyers that were really, really very long, which included judgments, precedent setting cases where they were able to draw from things they did in the past and all of that. But for all intents and purposes, guys, and for the sake of modernity, it is best to have a resume, right? So once you've already decided that, I would share with you that I've worked on a CV for a doctor recently, and her CV was 30 pages long, and she landed the job. So don't ever feel too worried about the length of your CV if you have to have one. But if you have to have a resume, keep that 1 to 2 pages. All right. Okay. So I'm just checking the chat periodically to see if anyone has any questions. Great. So we're going to discuss the international resume now. Now, of course, we're going to get into the particulars of what an international resume should have in it. But I want to just discuss the basic fundamentals of the international um, application process, right? So if you are applying for a job internationally, you live in Trinidad, you see a real nice job in New York that you want to target. So here's what you do. Your first step, decide, do I need a resume or a CV, right? Next step, tailor make your cover letter. Now, I know in the grabber resume, you do a lot of work behind tailoring the document to make sure that it's suited to the role you're going after. However, in most cases, and more in an international context, your cover letter is where you tailor make, where you make your changes. I'll share this with you. I remember recently advising a client who wanted to apply for one of the biggest banks in the world. I don't want to call names, but within her process, the advert stated, can you discuss times where you handled workforce planning, where you handled this, where you had experience in that? So of course, your resume is not the place to discuss that, but your cover letter would be an excellent real estate to make sure that you're able to explain, okay, within this job, I was able to achieve this, this, this. So right? So during that document, you're able to articulate things a little bit better. You have a little bit more space. You're able to make sure that you're able to explain things better in your cover letter. And then the last thing, so it's just 3 points with the international process. Make sure you have either a resume or a CV. Make sure your cover letter explains properly why you are the person to hire. And then the next step, I really want you to listen to me carefully with this, guys. There is a thing called ATS compliance. Now, luckily for us in Trinidad, ATS is not yet a huge deal, but times are changing and ATS is going to become our reality, right? So ATS stands for Applicant Tracker Systems. Now, in Trinidad, we are able to send out a vacancy and get resumes returned to us. And then we're able to go through it for relevance, for suitability, that kind of thing. That can't happen really in a first world country. In a first world country, if someone sends out an advert, they get thousands of resumes back. There is no way you can put someone to sit down and read thousands of resumes to ascertain suitability. So you need a system to do that for you. And this system is called an applicant tracker system. Now, an applicant tracker system, right? And I mean, I'm sure you all may have heard about it before, but definitely it is something that you need to be careful of. If you're applying for a job that asks for ATS compliance, you may have to fix over your resume. So there's a lot that I can say on this, but in the interest of time, I would not be able to. But certain things to look for in terms of ATS compliance is to make sure your resume does not have any text boxes. So no text boxes, no fanciness, no ampersands, no special characters, no no such exorbitant colors, that kind of thing. It's really, really the most basic of resumes. It colloquially it's called the ugly stepsister of resumes because it's so basic that an 8-year-old can do it, right? So Miss Valentine, I don't want to butcher your first name, right? But I'll take your question. Is that where you use keywords to filter the applications? You are quite correct, Miss Valentine, right? Keywording is very, and I'm going to discuss keywording later down in my presentation. Keywording is so important, but be careful with keywording because if you bounce up an HR professional like me who can tell that you copy and pasted from the advert, then, I'm not going to be too impressed by that. I will look at it and be like, she trying a thing, all right? So just be very mindful with your keywording, right? And with ATS compliance, your resume should not be more than about a page or a page and a half. Make sure it's very short. It normally starts off with very basic information, your name, address, in terms of what city you live in, your phone number, email. You don't necessarily have to put your LinkedIn, but most people do because that is just, for the sake of modernity and making sure you are able to show your profile where you would discuss topical things in your field, whatnot. Below that, you have an objective or professional summary. Later, we'll discuss the objective and professional summary again to make sure that is fine-tuned and you understand the difference between the two, right? You need to have a comprehensive skills bank. I always tell people, even my clients and friends close to me, please understand that with a resume, always think about money, put value behind it, put a cost behind everything you put in it. So your skills bank on your resume, don't put a skills bank with 3 to 4 skills. Remember, an employer is hiring you for your skills. So if your skills bank doesn't show me at least 10 things you're good at, or even 10 things that because as a young person, you would have developed certain skills along the way. So I would like to think that no skills bank should be lower than 10 items, right? Your work history in there, if you don't have too strong of a work history yet, you put in your volunteer experience that you would have had in university, that type of thing. Further to that, now, as a young professional or someone who may be just starting out in their field, you can get away with having a strong interest listing as long as it doesn't make you seem too, how should I put it? Make sure that it's applicable and it would make sense and add value to the resume, right? So the word of the day today is value. If you hear nothing I say today, right, think of value in your resume. Always think about what value you're going to add. So the big 3 concept, guys. When applying for a job internationally, you make sure your resume highlights your professional personality. So within that objective statement, because I would guess there'll be a lot of young professionals who are now starting out in their field. So if you're now starting out and you have an objective statement at the top of your resume, I want you to show me your professional personality. Show me what you're bringing to the table. So look at your languaging. Make sure your languaging is attractive because a resume is a precursor to always wanting to meet you. So that's the point of it. You want the employer to want to meet you. So during this professional summary or objective, make sure your professional personality is outlined. Right? Now, remember, we're still talking the international process here, so we may have to tailor things a bit. Sell your cross-cultural skills. Now, of course, if you're applying for a job in a first world country and you live in Trinidad, you need to show that possibly there will be some sort of adjustment to that culture and state that you're good with that. You're comfort, and this can be put in your cover letter also, that you're always traveling or you have a keen interest in their culture. So culture is very, very, very important. So once you can articulate adaptability to that culture, you're fine. And then you can address other differences. So what if there's a language barrier? What if you're in Trinidad and you're applying for a job in China? You can state, hey, I've always had an affinity for the Chinese language. I've been taking classes. I mean, you can even put that in your email as well to the company. So you show that you're able to adapt and that your adjustment period is going to be short, right? So now we're gonna, does anybody have any questions for that part before we move into common resume mistakes? But I like how Miss Valentine thinks, so I'm looking forward to the other questions and stuff, right? So we'll move right ahead, guys. We're gonna talk about common resume mistakes. So this is normally a pretty big section. If you all have like a notepad or a pen, notepad and a pen, please take some notes because we may take some of these things for granted, but it's so serious, guys. Please be careful and pay close attention to some of the things, to what I'm going to say now. So be careful about if you have an unprofessional layout. Now, we tend to, in the interest of space, we tend to choke everything into this one because we know our resume is supposed to be short, right? So we say we're just going to do one page and we choke everything up and mess up your margins. You mess up all of the, you put text boxes all over because I've seen some crazy fun resumes over the years. So you want to make sure your layout is very, very clean because I'm going to share this with you from an HR perspective. Please understand that your resume is a precursor to the quality of work you can produce. So when your resume looks clean and crisp and neat, That shows me as an employer that this is the quality of work you're going to produce for me, and I'm going to want to hire you and pay you top dollar for that. So be careful with your layout and how you structure your documents, right? Of course, if you not too sure about it, of course, there are people you can ask. I am very, very reachable. I'm going to share all my information at the end. So anybody has a question for me, you'll want me to look at your layout, not a problem. Next point, too many pages. I saw a resume last week that was 17 pages. A resume should never be more than 1 or 2 pages. And I will get into ideal tips later in the presentation, but for now, I'm telling you all, please be careful with the length of your resume. Longer doesn't always mean better. Longer resumes does not always mean it's a stronger document. Think, okay, put yourself in the HR person's shoes. If you're getting back resumes and you're going through it, are you going to read that 7-pager? Or are you going to read the resume of the person who in 2 pages can tell you all the reasons why they are the person to hire? So be careful. Longer resume does not always or does not mean better. All right. If the 1 or 2 pages should include a cover letter, it does not have to. A cover letter can make it up to 3 pages now, right? You can make the package up to 3 pages and that is fine, right? That is not a problem. However, just as a side note, if you're applying for a job in New York, make sure your resume is 1 page, cover letter is 1 page, 2-page document, right? Because that's New York's culture. But of course, Canada definitely prefers that level of brevity as well. Canadian resumes now are literally 1 page, right? But if you look at places like Dubai or any places in the Middle East, Africa as well, your resume can be 3 pages. So culturally, do your research and see what is needed for the country you're applying to. I know in the UK, they definitely don't have a problem with 2 pages, but their culture as well is shifting towards shorter documents, right? So guys, what would you advise here? In Trinidad, 2 pages is fine. Well, I currently sit as one of the directors on the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and one of our discussions for our upcoming brand new U series where I will be facilitating resume writing, we advocate for a 2-pager. Right? Now, if your resume is 1 page, and because that is the point you're at in your career where you don't have a whole bunch of experience and stuff, 1 page is fine. You have you can only have what you actually have. You can only put what you actually have. And nothing is wrong with that. But of course, there are tips and tricks and there are little tidbits you can use that can make your resume so much stronger. So don't worry too much about length, right? Because it can always be condensed. Things can always go from this to this, but moving from this to this might be hard, definitely hard. So you can always edit downwards. Don't worry too much about it, right? The next step, the next point on the common mistakes refers to cheeky email addresses. So I'm going to be real with everybody. How many people we have? We have 49 people, guys. The hot, sexy red gal, hot guy 100 at Hotmail, and the beautiful reds. I mean, I've seen email addresses that would, really, really ensure that your resume gets discarded. Right? Now, I am one of the more modern professionals who would be slightly more understanding when I see those things, because I know some people really, really enjoy having their individualism and ensuring their personality come out. So I'll share one secret with you all. When I was doing my degree years ago, I had a lecturer and his email address was @lecturer at hotmail.com. And we all found it so horrible and so funny, but now 13 years later, am I not talking about it? So didn't what he did work, right? But please don't follow in his footsteps. The convention for an email address for your resume is your first name dot your last name at whatever engine you choose. Gmail, I'm not advocating for Gmail, but it's relatively the more easier one that everyone can access. So whatever engine works for you, use it. But please be careful, guys, because when we see those resumes with those cheeky email addresses, it's a huge turnoff. And that's not what you want to do. You don't want to turn off the person getting your resume. You want to make sure that that person gets your resume, say, I want to meet Emily, I want to meet Nandi, I want to meet Elisa. That's the type of feelings you want to engineer when you put your resumes in somebody's hand. So go through your resume. If you're seeing you have a little cheeky email there, some kind of nothing outside of your professional life, change it up, right? So too many fancy text. That's my next point. Be very careful with the fancy text, guys, because we all like monotype cursive. We all like Lucida handwriting, all of these really, really, really fun points for types of fonts to use, but please don't use them. Coming down later, I will advise you on the fonts that are professional and clean that will make your resume look really professional. So I'm going to take Malia's question. Is it okay to include your date of birth in your email? I would say not to include the whole thing. If you are 40 years old and you want to put your email address, maliajames40@gmail, that's fine. But remember, your birthday is coming around the next year, so you're not going to change your email every year, right? But if you want to put the year, not a problem. I guess if you have a relatively common name, like if your name is Frank Jones and you want to put Frank Jones 17, that's fine. It's not a problem. But I would say put one or two numbers after your name. When you're putting 4 and 6 numbers after your name, it tends to get a little tedious. So if you want to then make the change and put, like, if you're like my name, my full name is Akeem Norris Jr. Branford. My parents decided to do me that, right? So if you want to put anjbranford@gmail, you can do that. If you want to put m.james or m and your middle name, so if let's say your middle name is Anna, so ma.james@hotmail or Gmail, Yahoo, whatever engine you choose, that's fine. Now the 868 thing, Mr. Watts, right? So if you're gonna put 868 after it, it's not an issue, right? But I'm seeing you kind of forcing the need to try to fit some individualism in there. Let me just tell you this. A resume is not the place to over enforce those type of things, right? But depending on what it is, if you want to put Nicholas Watts 868@gmail, hey, you can get away with that, right? Guys, phone numbers out of service, you have no idea how common this is. So make sure that the resume that you have in front of you, your number on it is a working phone number. It's your most easily accessible phone number. Anybody, anywhere, anytime can call you on that number and get you. So next point, email address spelled incorrectly. You would not believe how simple of an error we may think this is, but it does actually happen. It does happen where at times your email address may have been spelled wrongly. I'll share with you all this joke. This morning I spelled my name wrongly in the presentation. I mean, who does that? But I mean, these things happen. We're human. No one is expecting you to be perfect. We're just expecting you to put your best foot forward in your resume. So double check what you have. Make sure your spelling is correct. You spelled your email address correctly, because some companies may want to email you to get you to, provide some sort of pre-employment information. So make sure your email is spelled well at the top of your resume. So another common mistake. So again, go through your document. Do you have either a professional summary or an objective? Now, of course, you all would know the difference between these two. An objective is meant for someone who is a fresher professional. Am I using the right term? Sorry. Someone who is literally within the first 5 years of their career, right? Your objective is where you show your boss or your new employer going forward that you have goals, right? That you have ideas, you have things you want to achieve. So the objective statement must be compelling. This is where you take your English for academic purposes classes and make sure you're able to articulate this really well. Your professional summary, though, will be a clear articulation of your fully developed professional identity. So within a professional summary, I want to know how many years experience you have, what your leadership style is, what you bring to the table in terms of being dependable, being someone who goes the extra mile. Again, think value. So as I said before, continue to think value. So within your professional summary, If you're at the level where you need to have one, make sure you articulate your fully developed professional identity, as well as your number of years of experience and the value, guys, value that you bring to the table. So please understand that at the end of the day, your professional summary or your objective statement can be a revolving thing. So as you grow in your career, as you develop new skills, as you finish your degree, as you finish your certifications, as you finish some sort of professional development, at that point, your professional summary or your objective can be edited to reflect who you are. Resume versus CV. Did you make the right choice? So there are many times where I would send out a vacancy advert and I would ask for a resume and I would get a CV back, right? So just make sure that the document that you're producing for a job is properly the document that is requested, right? So next point, use of templates. So if you look online, you will see 99 million templates that you can use for a resume. But do they suit your level? Do they suit you? And I will tell you this, that no template you find online can be exactly, easily cookie cutter used for what you're trying to do. There's a lot of resumes out there now that as HR professionals, we see them all the time. There's a particular green resume that I'll be honest, it really turns me off because it's the resume that everybody uses and it's out there and it's just, it shows no individuality. It has some dots on the top of it and, you know, it's really just a turn off. So within using templates, nothing is wrong with using templates to a point, but tailor make it to suit you. Change that green color, change that pink color in it, change that weird carnival type color that you see in it, right? Make sure that the document is tailor-made to suit you and it reflects who you are professionally, because you want to be taken seriously and you want to be paid properly as well. So make sure that whatever template you choose, you tailor make it so it doesn't look like the template that you found online, right? Now, next major point, guys. Please be mindful of grammatical and typographical errors. So, of course, later on, I will advise on a program that you can use for free that will check your resume in terms of spelling errors and whatnot. But go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because trust and believe that the person that you're giving it to is going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So on your end, sit down with your resume, have a glass of juice, a glass of water, whatever makes you feel comfortable, relax with your document with a highlighter, and just highlight those errors that you may make and have it fixed, all right? My next point relates to incorrect tense. Look at your resume, look back at your work history. If you've done a couple jobs or you've done a couple volunteer experiences, be careful and be mindful that your current job must always be in the present tense. So you use active language within that, like assisting, volunteering, helping, generating, so generating reports or generates report, you know, so you keep your language current. Whereas if you've completed a job, you've ended it and you've moved on, all the jobs that you would have ended must go in the past tense. As simple as this sounds, if I get your entire resume in the present tense, something is wrong. Then it's telling me you're still doing all these jobs that you did in the past. So we may take these little things for granted, but be mindful and look at it, because of course, people who receive your resumes are going through it with a fine-tooth comb. So ensure that all your previous jobs are in the past tense. All of the verbs, is it verbs or adjectives? No, sorry, yeah, adjectives are describing words. Okay, so if you're describing things that you would have done, describe it in the past tense, right? Omissions and career gaps. Now, of course, this may not be an issue for a university student, but if you're I mean, if you're a professional with years of experience, you may want to have, if you take a year off, I mean, and these things happen. We are in modern times where people may take a year off to start a family, or as a young woman, if you decide to take a year off to have a baby, to get married and start a family, absolutely nothing is wrong with that. And I need everyone to know that, especially females. If you've taken a year off from your career to start a family because this is your personal goal, absolutely nothing is wrong with that. All right. And an employer will or must, a serious employer will respect that. Right? So if you have omitted a year out of your resume where you would have made a decision to start a family or to even go into a business venture, you wanted to pursue some sort of entrepreneurial venture, nothing is wrong with that. We tend to think that our resume has to be this big beacon of perfection, right? Yeah, it should be. It would be perfect. It would be great if it is, but it never is. No one is perfect. No resume is perfect at all. No one is meant to be perfect. Perfection is just not, um, you know, something that can hold you back from getting where you need to go. So yes, Denicia Morris, right? Entrepreneurial pursuits, absolutely nothing is wrong with that. I stopped in my career in my mid 20s just for a little while to start Branford HR Solutions. And for all these years later, now I'm very thankful and happy for that time period that I spent to start my company, build it. So nothing is wrong with that. And as I said, a serious employer will respect and value what you have done because you didn't stop to chill, right? You stopped to pursue something that you thought was important. So nothing is wrong with that. Now, too many personal details. Now, guys, I've gotten resumes over the years with way too many personal details. I do not need to know your age. Your age is not a factor to hire you. I need you to know that. Your age is not a factor to hire you, right? I don't need to know how many children you have. That is no employer's business in a resume, right? I also see where some people go as far as to put their salary ranges on their resume. I don't know where this concept comes from or why people think it's fun. Okay, guys, I'm in New York. Sorry for the sounds, right? But yes, make sure that you don't have too many personal details in your email, in your resume, right? So if you have a podcast, should you include that name? I would say keep your podcast personally. Save your podcast for your social media. I did a resume recently for an engineer, right? She was a very, very, very bright engineer, and she has a podcast where she talks about different things concerning climate change and renewable energy. As fun and great as it is, it doesn't add value to your employer, right? It doesn't help your employer want to pay you more. So I would say leave out the podcast, right? So Leah says, what about a picture? We're gonna get to the pic. Leah, don't rush, man. We're gonna get to the picture. What I'm liking that. I shouldn't, I'm really, really, really liking where your mind is going because that's the end of this section where I'm gonna clearly articulate to you what decision you should make concerning a picture. So don't rush, man, but I'm liking the thinking, right? Another point, guys, well, I did fully articulate the parts on personal details, right? So religion, no. Amount of children, no. Involvement in, I mean, as great as pageants are, because I'm seeing that a lot now with females. Females are putting their pageant titles. That is a personal detail. So there's no need to, unless you're going for a job that is in communications or PR or something where you would have shown that you have done ambassadorial things, fine, go ahead, that can work. So think of context too. So Ms. Valentine asks, relating to the podcast and social media, if the job description asks for any similar, for an experience similar to that, can you add it? Add it to your cover letter, right? Make sure and in that cover letter, you can put links. You can hyperlink it. You young people, I mean, People are now fantastic with the things they do in resumes. I mean, even I've been doing resumes so long and I see things all the time that amaze me that these techie minded people put in there. So you can hyperlink your podcast, put it in your cover letter. You can hyperlink it in your email, do all of that. Make sure the employer gets it. Right. So Ms. Morris asks, will employers think that you won't stay long in the business if you include our small business? Oh, good question. Good question. And it does happen. Some employers would definitely think that that you won't stay long. But a serious employer won't do that to you. So I mean, I want you to just be mindful of where you're putting your resumes to. Please understand, I mean, I hope that you all would have heard this before, but remember, all of this is a two-way street. You are applying to a company to work for them and bring value and be paid for your value, but also remember that you're also auditioning the company, right? I'm not telling you to be arrogant or to be anything other than a good, humble job seeker, but make sure that you understand, is this a company I want to align myself with? So if this company has an issue with me selling pillory on weekends, even though I'm the accountant, come on, me selling pillory on a weekend does not change how I do my balance sheets or change how I balance my journals or how I do my data entry as an accountant. Leah, I'll get to you in 1 second. So I do not think that a serious employer will be angry. I can share with you, for me, I've had my business for years and I've worked also in corporate HR. I'm starting a new position as an HR manager on December 6th. And in that role, I will be HR manager and I will still be managing director of Branford HR Solutions, bringing great sessions like this to you all. So a real serious employer will not have a problem with the fact that, hey, my staff do other things on the side. However, conflicts of interest, guys, be mindful that if you have a small business that is within the same line of work that you're doing for an organization, there can be an issue. So look at my example. I'm a master resume writer for Branford HR Solutions, and I'm an HR manager. Those are both inextricably linked, right? Yes, they are inextricably linked, but at the end of the day, my employer does not have a problem with me writing resumes and, being their HR manager. Damian, I'm going to get to your question because Leah's hand was up. So I want to get Lee? Yeah, I want to get Lee's question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Akeem. So I'm not sure if this question that I have will fall into the line of questioning for this section.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna give a bit of personal information, right?
Sure.
So during my schooling career, I worked at like fast food restaurants and stuff just to earn some money and decide while going to school, right? So, but now that I am finishing up school, I want to apply for more professional positions, firms, banks, whatever, right? But that is still me working at a fast food restaurant and also like pharmacies and all that. It's still my experience. If I have to apply for a firm, would I still put that on my resume for them, or would that look weird? And also, would I put that on my LinkedIn? Because I don't want to say I work, you understand, like it's Pizza Hut on my LinkedIn.
I understand what you mean, but let me share this with you. My career started at a fast food restaurant as well. My career started in a grocery store.
Yeah.
All right. At the end of the day, we all have to start somewhere. No one starts as CEO unless you're born with that gold spoon in your mouth. But no, real people we don't start there. There is definitely a journey that must be appreciated to get there. But I always tell people it's how you articulate it on the resume. There's a thing called transferable skills. So I'm going to get to that later in the presentation. But when you've worked I worked at Burger King, right? And for me, I had to speak on the supervisory skills that I developed, because if you can supervise in a fast food restaurant and do things like scheduling and rosters, I mean, doing a roster in a fast food restaurant is nothing short of a miracle, right?
Yes.
So What you need to do is ensure that you articulate your experience, highlighting your transferable skills. So
Yes.
I would often tell people, please don't put the direct name of the restaurant, put the name of the parent holding company. I think you understand what I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So
Yes.
understand that all of these restaurants
Mhm.
do not trade as that name. It trades as their parent company,
Okay,
right?
understood.
So you're paid by the parent company. I don't like to call too many. Well, you see, Miss Morris put it in the chat. I just didn't want to say it,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
you put the parent company that pays you, and you worked in this particular subsidiary. And while there, you developed excellent transferable skills. So you dealt with
Okay.
things like scheduling, you dealt with things like monitoring staff from a performance perspective. And you
Mhm.
could make this experience be articulated in such a way that I'll be like, wow, she went into this place that
Yes.
is deemed to be whatever society deems it to be. But you know what
Yes.
she took out of it? Transferable skills that she wants to sell to me. So
Oh,
look at it like that for an employer. And of course, now I say things and make it sound really simple, but it
mhm.
requires some taking your time, have a bottle of water and go
Yeah.
through it and write it properly. Right. So I hope I answered your question, Lee.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Great. Damien has a question. In the modern work environment, is the view still that tattoos and expressions of creativity are unprofessional? I've always had an issue with that view, and as right, okay, as such, tattoos would impact my ability to do a job. Damien, I like that you brought that up. It's not something that I normally cover in my presentation, but I will tell you from personal experience, because I absolutely love tattoos. Right. I won't tell you how much I have or how many I have, but I love good ink and good personal, private expression. But that's the key word there, private expression. What I do with my ink and my tattoos or my piercings or my body modifications, I see people put bars in there. Whatever you do, that's none of your employer's direct business in terms of it being clearly visible. So, for instance, I've shared this with you all. I was HR manager of a very small group of companies years ago, and I had an employee who, on her interview, she wore makeup. So I didn't know that she had a very, very big Om sign tattooed on her head. An Om sign is a symbol in Hinduism that symbolizes peace. So it meant something really, really important to her, but she covered it during the interview. And then on her first day of work, shows up to work barefaced with this big tattoo on the side of her head. Now, of course, based on the industry, having a face tattoo didn't augur well for the look of the organization because the company had a very specific policy as it related to the PR of the company, the public image of the organization, right? So, with the tattoos, Damien, I would advise you, because I'm looking at your picture, you seem to be a relatively young professional. My big brother advice to you would be to please not put your tattoo in easily visible places. So your neck is not an area to do a tattoo. Your face, not an area to do a tattoo. Your forearms, right? Unless you're planning to wear long sleeves at work every day, I would advise that you don't. Now, I'm not trying to pull you back from your personal private expression. I'm not, but I'm just telling you to keep it private. There are things that should be done for you, right? So, of course, your tattoos does not hamper you from doing your job. Your tattoos do not mean that you perform any less, but I'm just erring on the side of caution that you don't want to put yourself in any situation where you can be unfairly judged, right? Now, we all exist in Trinidad, right? So we have to understand that we are in Trinidad is a very, very conservative society, right? Trinidad is still very deeply rooted in tradition, values, religion, deep morals, practices, culture, belief system. We still do things and we don't know why we do it. right? Because our grandmom did it that way, right? So we're deeply rooted in tradition, and it is traditional to not have visible tattoos. So my advisement today is to not have too many visible tattoos. If you plan on putting on makeup every day and covering it, that's your decision. But I would just say that it distracts, it takes me away from what you can do. And then all I'm seeing is this big dragon or this big clock or whatever you have tattooed on you. So just keep it, you know, I would say temper it a bit, right? What about piercings on the ears? Um, if you're a forward facing person, meaning if you have to be the face of the organization, be careful about the set of excessive body modifications. I saw a lady recently on Times Square with a bar straight across her nose here. Now, if I go into a bank and you're cashing my check and I see this, it may be a little concerning to me that, you know, why would you make a decision to put a piercing there? So just be careful, guys. Nothing is wrong with tasteful earrings. As a man, I try not to. I don't wear my earrings to work, although my ears are pierced, but I would just choose not to wear it at work because I try to set an example for my staff. So I just would not, although an earring does not hamper me from doing my job or not, but it's just something I wouldn't do. Right? Number of piercings. Malika or Malika, I would say tasteful piercings here. Nothing is wrong with that. I have seen females with very tasteful small nose rings. So it's not anything big and hanging and distracting, but I've seen like a simple little black dot. I don't see anything too wrong with it, but there are organizations who may frown on it. So just be careful of where you're putting yourself there. Hair color. Again, modern times, green hair, blue hair. I went to Bath and Body Works yesterday and I saw a lady with green hair because that's applicable to their environment. But to work at our sponsor, Republic Bank, you should not have green hair. Right? So look at your environment, look at the culture that you're in, look at the space that you're employed in, and that can let you know, okay, I can have green hair because I work Bath and Body Works, or you know what, I'm working for a bank that is very strong on their image, and green hair would be something that is outside of the dress code. That's another thing, guys. Look at the dress code of the organization you're in. And if green hair and blue hair and red wigs and all of that does not fall in line with the the dress code of the organizations, you need to be mindful of that. So a small tattoo on your hand, Samantha, have you done the tattoo yet, or you now going to? If you're going to do the tattoo, I would say please don't put a tattoo on your hand, right? But if it's a small tattoo, meaning it's like an initial or something like that, it does not hamper how you do your work, but it's just something I would tell you, if you're going to do it, please don't, right? So again, guys, looking at the common mistakes of in your resume, look at the objective statements or the summary and see if it's too long. Now, I would say 2 to 3, maximum 4 sentences in there. That's fine. I can take that. But when you're writing a soliloquy for me at the top of your resume, oh my God, please don't do it. Because at that point, your reader is going to get bored. You want to make sure that your resume has enough tidbits in it so that when the reader picks it up, they're like, oh my God, let me make a note because I want to meet Malika. I want to meet Samantha. I want to be able to get to I want to meet this person and I want to find out more. So don't give everything. Don't give a 20 sentence, a 20 sentenced professional summary or objective, but make sure that you have enough in there to grab your reader and make sure they want to meet you. So Malika, again, is pushing me to give the link to check for grammatical errors. I will give it later. All right, stay for the rest of the presentation. Next point, guys, language and tenor. Now, when you read a document, when I'm reading a document, I can tell if you're sure about yourself or not. You ever heard anything about that? You ever heard someone say that within reading a document, I can tell if you're serious or not? So if the language or tenor of your resume is not strategic, or it's not strategically placing you to where you need to label yourself as a thought leader. That's the point you must always look to get at in your career. Are you a thought leader? Are you the person that this company is going to go to? Are you the subject matter expert? How are they going to pay you for this value that you're bringing? So you have a very small space at the top of this resume in this objective or professional statement to make sure the language and tenor strategically aligns you to be the go-to person in your field. All right, social media profiles, guys. Please, 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 please be careful. So look at the resume you have in front of you. Do you have your Instagram on it? Do you have your Twitter on it? And what type of content do you have on your social media? Is your Instagram filled with pictures of you on boat rides, or on beaches, or drinking excessively, or any of these type of things? Be careful, because I'm telling you, your social media footprint is something that you cannot erase. You cannot erase it. So I would simply tell people, please just don't put your handles. Now, don't think the employer can't find it. We can find it. We can find you. We can know what you're doing, right? But please, 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 please don't give it to us. Don't give me a resume with your Instagram on it. I go on your Instagram and you're drunk on all the pages. I'm seeing some questions flying and I want to take them, right? Adele, I can appreciate that yours is empty, right? But put your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is always the better place to share what you're doing socially. So for that, do employers request to follow you on burner account? Can you unmute and discuss that with me a second, Denicia? I want to know what you mean by that, because when I think of burner accounts, I think of like burner phones where you make a call not to be traced and then throw it away. So if you could unmute Denicia Morris, I'd like to acknowledge you, and yeah, tell me what you mean by this.
Okay, so my Instagram profile is private. So I was just wondering, like for example, they just make a little fake profile with no post, anything, maybe a
Denicia.
fake name, and request to follow just to see, because you're talking about the different things that we might post. So if my Instagram private, how they will know what I'm posting now? My Instagram is clean, but I'm just wondering.
Denicia, do you think that is only the organization not seeing it? Don't you think that the people who you may have on your list, because we can do that. We can go into your Instagram, see the people that follow you, ask them, hey, what type of person Denicia is, and then they send us all the pictures of you in the private zest and all kind of stuff, and in the middle of the boxing match on the B-term and what. Yeah, we're able to find it, So, and as much as you may think your Instagram is private and nobody could see it, but you have followers, and we have there is access to your followers, and it's very easy to get your information. So be very careful. Yes, Nicholas, it's time to get to scrubbing, right? It's time to get to scrubbing down your social media and just be careful of what you have on there, right? So if you're going to private zest, take no pictures, none. And you still should not be going to the private zest, okay? I'm not advocating for it. Good. Next mistake, guys, if your resume is not fully updated. Now, there are times where you may not be able to update your resume all the time. I haven't updated mine in a minute. So if I have to send my resume out somewhere now, I definitely have to update it. So one of the mistakes people make is not updating their resumes and still sending it out. And if your resume has like a gap, so if you change jobs since 2017, 2018, or whatever, but your resume is still showing the job you had in 2015, and you send it to an employer, it doesn't add any value to that employer at all. So it will be discarded. So just be careful of that. Overuse of keywording. So look at this document that you have in front of you. And when you are converting it into a grabber resume, right, you would use keywords from the advert that you're applying for, but don't overdo. Do not copy and paste parts of it into your resume. Again, if your resume comes in front of someone like me, I will know what you've done, and I will discard your resume. I'm being honest, right? So make sure that your keywording in there must be done on a tasteful level. But if you wholesale copy and paste, no, I'm gonna know you copied and pasted, right? So education qualifications not in the correct place. Now you all would have definitely had classes on the difference between education and qualifications, right? I, so if you put your qualifications under education or education under qualifications, wouldn't it just be simpler to just highlight a section, education and qualifications, right? So be careful, guys, because remember, the people that you're sending your resume to are people who will be scrutinizing it for correctness. So make sure that your education and your qualifications are listed correctly. We spoke about the social media profiles, yes, so I'm going to my next point. If your work history is not in descending order, so guys, current at the top, older at the bottom. So your current job must always be that first job under your work history. So it must be in descending order. It must go from now to past. Another thing that I see a lot on resumes, so go through the resumes while I'm talking, go through your resume, make sure that you don't have any irrelevant details and accolades. Now, I remember many years ago, I judged a little show in UE called Miss Verse, right? I'm not gonna say who won that year. I don't want you all aging me at all. But the particular individual who won, I remember she sent her resume into the company I was working for, and she did put it as an achievement. Now, I do know as a young person, winning a pageant, winning a show is really very important to you as a personal achievement. But please don't put it on the resume, right? Please remember that your resume is a place where you're discussing value that you're adding to the employer, not to anything else, right? So we spoke about the pageant titles and the community accolades and all of those sort of things. Those things are really, really very good. Now, I'll tell you this though, guys, even though I'm telling you all not to do it, there are people who do it and they are successful with it. Do you think that the person who wins Miss World doesn't put it on her resume? Of course she does. The person who wins Miss Universe puts it on her resume, they do. But you know how they're able to sell it? They're able to sell the transferable skills that they've learned during that time. So they're able to say, okay, I have ambassadorial qualities, I can communicate, I have this experience in dealing with dignitaries, protocols, that type of things. So you definitely sell how you're able to add value to your new employer. How can Malika, I'll share it in the end, right? I'll share my information in the end. Oh, and another big mistake that I see on resumes that people do now, and I pray to God none of you all have this on your resume in front of you, but it speaks to personal credos and famous quotes. There are people quoting Martin Luther King on their resume. There are people quoting Rosa Parks and quoting management theorists. Please just don't do it. You don't have to speak. You know something? I'll tell you this. People who put credos and quotes and comments on their resumes are people who really, really don't know how to use the space on their resume. All right? So be careful with the space. Space is valuable. My resume is 2 pages, and I'm telling you, I have no space to put anybody else quote on my resume. And yes, it comes off as trying too hard. I just didn't want to say it that way. But yes, it comes across as trying too hard. You want to make sure your resume is a genuine reflection of you and the value you're bringing. Right? So definitely you don't want to come across as desperate or trying too hard or any. Sterling, you have those? Take it off your resume, please. If you want, you can show it to me though. I'd like to see which quote you have. You can send it in the chat. Nothing is wrong. Is a Martin Luther King quote? No, Sterling. No. Take it out. Right? Now I can see why that. No, the person had 17 pages. I'll be completely honest. He has, he's in politics. So he held a lot of different alderman roles, councillor roles, and of course, he put all his projects, everything he did for millions of dollars, all of that. When you're doing a resume, it is really a summary articulation of all the things you've done, right? And sometimes that within summarizing, you need to edit yourself too and make sure that your edit speaks to value. I'm a broken record today, guys. All I'm talking about is value. If you leave hearing nothing I said today, when you pick up your resume this evening, all you need to think about is, does this add value to the person I'm sending it to? All right. So, did we miss anything in terms of common mistakes? We missed a big thing. But of course, 2 people on the chat made sure that I did not miss it. And that refers to pictures. So before I speak about pictures, Leah's hand is out. Go ahead, Leah. Unmute and ask the question.
So again, so this is a question about not really being overqualified, but more about downgrading your resume to be able to get a position.
That's called lying. That's called resume fraud, but go ahead.
Is it?
It is. It's called misrepresentation of yourself, but go ahead. Let me hear the question. Sorry.
Okay, well, that's the question. Is it okay to do that or not? Because I done it once to get a job.
And you got the job.
I removed the university level part of it. I just put my CXC cape and that was it. And I got the job, but it didn't feel right to do it on my end. But I don't know. I just wanted to know if that was okay. I wasn't comfortable because that wasn't a job that I necessarily wanted to, like, I don't know how to explain it.
My comment on that is to just be careful that what you've just committed is called resume fraud, right?
Okay.
Of course, it's not jailable or bailable or any kind of legal stuff attached to it. But you could lose your job if you misrepresent what you can do and misrepresent your qualifications. It's definitely wrong. But I will tell you, people do it and they're successful with it because they want to get their foot in the door and they want to make money. But understand that that could never be a proper move for you, Leah, because the big D word comes in there, and that's desperation. That's the last thing you want when applying for a job. You want to make sure that this employer wants you or needs you just as much as you want them. So you want to get to the point in your career where you are sought after, right?
Yeah.
You want that if you leave a job, that your new organization that you're going to is going to negotiate with you and say, okay, how are we going to induce you? How are we going to make you happy over here? And what makes you happy? Is it more money? Is it more flexibility? Is it an office space of your own? Is it an assistant? Because we're thinking about tangible and intangible, intrinsic and intrinsic rewards. We're thinking about material benefits, all of that. And of course, the easiest thing to think about is money, but money doesn't make everybody happy. For me, I can tell you what makes me happy. I like long vacations. I like to be able to jump on a plane, go to New York and spend a month. That's me. So I will settle for a smaller salary if I know you're going to give me a month off a year. So that's what you want to make sure that you have that type of bargaining power and that type of thing to make sure that you're able to not ever have desperation when you're applying for a job.
Okay. Right? All right. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. So Angel asks if I do LinkedIn's. Yes, I do LinkedIn. I design LinkedIn's. Look, you can look at my LinkedIn profile. I've been doing that for years. So the picture topic, guys. So my quick and dirty, easy answer is do not put your picture on your resume, right? However, look at the context. If you're applying for a position at a marketing firm, right? Now, there are organizations who value certain levels of creativity if that's the job that you're going into. So if you're going into a job as a model, of course, you need to send an editorial image of yourself. Now, I will tell you this, guys, it is never, ever proper or normal to have any picture on your resume where you're at a different stage of undress. So ladies, I have seen resumes with bikini type Snapchat filtered photos on the beach. Now the picture may be fantastic because you have a seashell in your hair and the hair is fantastically done and excellent photo. But would it add value to the employer? It wouldn't. So the Snapchat filtered pictures, because nobody loves a Snapchat filter more than me, right? I get it. But there's absolutely no need to put a Snapchat filtered picture on your resume. I've also seen, now, if you have a favorite picture of yourself, like I have a favorite picture of myself that I took in Dumbo in New York, where I look like a real, like a a male supermodel, right? I think I looked fantastic. But when I was applying for the job that I'm going into in December, I didn't put that on my resume because that's personal. That's for me. That's not for them, right? So if you have a favorite picture, because that's what a lot of people do when you talk to them about the picture on their resume, they'll say, "That's my favorite picture of me." And I'm like, do you think an employer is going to pay you more for that picture? No. Do you know when it's okay to send a picture with your resume? It's okay to send it when it's requested. So if you are hired and an organization says, hey, for bio data, we would like to have a picture of you to put on your file, perfect timing. But anytime before that, you're exposing, exactly, Malika, you're exposing yourself to criticism. There's a lot of things that I want to say, but I'm tempering my language because I want to be I want to make sure that you all understand me very, very, very clearly with regards to pictures, right? Now, in certain cultural contexts, like let's speak about America. America has a lot of race issues going on here. It is what it is. It's not me thinking it. It is what it is, right? Diversity as well as a challenge. So if an organization is trying to hire someone because of diversity and you're a diversity hire, is that something you really want? Do you want to be hired simply because you fall into a particular race continuum? Or do you want to be hired for the things you can do because of the results you can bring, because of the value you could bring? Those are the things you want to be hired for. You don't want to be hired because you have excellent cheekbones and you can take a filter very well. No. So again, look at the value that you're bringing to the table and make sure that everything you do adds value and is a sellable thing. So when you look at that point on your resume you have in front of you, look at yourself and say, this gonna get me more money, this gonna add value to the organization, is this gonna help me grow in my career while I'm there? And then you have your answer. So we ended that section on sorry, as relates to common mistakes. And we're going to move into the resume of the modern job seeker, what this resume is going to look like. So do we have any questions as we transition to land a job? Oh, what if I could better land a job based on race? That's a very interesting question, Stilling. But I would think that that's more of a personal choice, right? I would not like to be hired only because I'm a black male or because I'm bald head with a beard. No, I want to be hired because you know what? He has 16 years HR experience. He's doing this since he was very young. He started as an intern. He did what he had to do to get up there. You know, he worked his way up. I was an intern in HR many, many, many years ago. So of course, for me, I want to be hired based on the fact that I can really bring value to an organization. So I don't want to be hired because I'm bald head with a beard or because I look different. I want to be hired because of what I can do, right? Miss Morris asks, facts, I only want the value and bring to determine whether I'm hired. That's true. What about having a link to your portfolio on your resume? If applying to some, yes. I can tell you where this is a very, very, very excellent idea. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong. Is it Shalmont? Shalmont, you are very correct. I love to see portfolios. If I'm hiring like someone in graphic design or even like someone to do artwork for the organization in terms of marketing, PR, not necessarily PR, but graphic design and that type of thing, and artistic positions, yes. I want to see a portfolio. I want to see things you've done before. I want to see where your mind is at. Is your taste level on the same level as the organization? So if I'm hiring you as a graphic artist and I design communication concerning events and that type of stuff, but your whole portfolio filled with nudity, I appreciate your artistic expression, but it's just not in line with what we're doing. Okay, great. So, well, Malia, that would be a question for the hosts. include links to portfolios for your projects. You can, as long as you guys just remember, as I said, think value. Does my portfolio show the length and breadth and stuff that I'm good at? Does it show the breadth of my skills? Or is it tasteless, gory, possibly nudity? No. Once it doesn't add value, don't do it. Right, so guys, we're going to move along now. We're going to move to the resume of the modern job seeker. So what I'm going to do in 2 slides is just articulate to you all what the ideal resume for a modern job seeker should look like, right? So guys, it's going to have clear headings. But for all the tea in China, ladies and gentlemen, please do not put the word resume at the top of your resume, right? Please do not put resume. Do you, okay, let me pick on someone. Charlemont. Do you walk around with the word Charlemont on your forehead? Nandi, do you walk around with the word Nandi on your forehead? No, you don't. When someone engages you, they find out your name. So of course, when I look at a resume and I engage the resume, I know it's a resume. So excellent. No way, you don't walk around with your name on your head. So please do not label your document resume at the top. No. Profession, the resume must have, okay, Lee, go ahead, ask your question, sure. Unmute.
Hi, can you hear me? The rain is falling really hard, so I don't know.
That's okay, I can hear you,
okay.
Yes.
So I read somewhere, I can't remember, but I did read it somewhere that if it is a business, like say on Instagram and you see these job postings and they say, okay, send your resume to this email. I read somewhere that if you send a Word document with your resume via email, companies don't open it really because of something with Word, Microsoft or whatever. You have to send your information in the email itself, like typed out, if you know what I mean. Like you copy and paste your resume to the email and that is how they look at it. But
well, you see, Kyle just answered your question right there. Kyle, are you a master resume writer by chance? Guys, do not ever send your resume anywhere in Microsoft Word. Don't do it.
Okay.
Please understand that different systems, different OSs,
yes,
will probably not be able to read it. So if you're using 95, I'm using 98, and the CEO using the newest version, you do know how scrambled your resume can look.
Yes.
It moves all over the page. So I tell all of my clients, everybody I speak to concerning a resume, PDF your resume before you send it anywhere. Now, I'll give you one slight chance to send it in Word, and that would only be to a reputable employment agency. Right?
Yes.
There are quite a few reputable employment agencies in Trinidad. You just have to research them and know who they are. I can recommend a few, but I would not recommend publicly. If I'm speaking with you, I can recommend people that I can send you to, but only those particular agencies you can send them to in Word. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. The company has to protect itself when they send your resume to a company in order for them to be paid. So for me, if I'm applying for a job through an agency, they will take out my name, my address, or my contact details. So when I go to that organization and I interview, the only interaction between me and the organization is between the agency and me, not the organization. Right? So I know it's a little complicated now, but if you want, Lee, I can have a discussion with you on it so you'll understand it better, right?
Okay, no problem.
You can always reach out to me and I'll explain it to you. But only send your resume to reputable employment agencies in Word. Other than that, PDF to everybody. Don't send. PDF preserves the structure of your resume. PDF is universal. I can open a PDF in Trinidad, in New York, in Australia, anywhere on any OS, and it opens the same. Not Microsoft Word, though. All right?
Understood. Thank you.
Problem. So, Kyle, thank you for saying that. It's safer to send in PDF and it prevents editing. Excellent. I know there are lots of recruitment frauds and scams. I'm really, really aware of it, Kyle. I get a lot of complaints. It happens a lot. And I know as job seekers, it's frustrating because you don't know what you're landing yourself into. But I will tell you this, the power is still in your hands. Companies cannot survive without skilled human resources. If you don't bring 100% of you to the table every day, no organization can survive, right? So understand it's a two-way street. When you're trying to get your foot into that door, understand the value that you're bringing to the table. You are going to be the person in this position to be successful, to bring change, to bring all of your skills, all of your know-how, all your competencies, your years of experience, and even your general passion for what you do. So these recruitment frauds and scams are horrible, but I always tell people, if you have to think twice about it, don't apply for it. It really is depressing and it's upsetting when you put yourself through a process and then you find out it's not a real deal. All right. So I'm just gonna leave one more point on that for you, Kyle. Get a mentor. Get somebody that you can talk to, ask questions. My inbox on LinkedIn is always open to questions. Nothing is wrong with asking someone a question. Hey, I saw this. What do you know about this? Because as a young professional, you may not know everything that is happening out there, but trust and believe other people do know. Right? Should you always send a cover letter together with your resume? Not always. It's not always requested, right? If it is requested, make sure you have one, a proper professional one that you can edit and use. But sometimes companies don't really want a cover letter, all right? My name on LinkedIn is my name, okay? My name is everywhere on this page, right? Great. So we're moving on to continue discussing what this professional resume is going to look like, right? So it's going to have a clear and engaging objective if you're at 1 to 5 years experience, right? I want to know that this objective on your resume, clearly articulates to me who you are and what you're trying to do, all right? So you'll have a comprehensive professional summary with strong sellable points. In your professional summary, you must articulate all of the things that you're able to sell. So you're selling the fact that you are the thought leader in this field. You have so and so years of experience. You have a postgraduate education in this field, blah, blah, blah. You all know how to structure it. You all had the class before, right? Excellent. Next, we have to discuss a proper skills bank. Now, guys, people call it different things. People call it skills listing. People call it areas of competencies, areas of experience, areas of skill, areas of competencies, areas of knowledge, all of that. But the proper term, the proper international term is a skills bank. So we coming down the resume, right? We finish the professional summary or the objective. We're on a skills bank now. Guys, this is the meat. This is the meat of the resume. This is the leg and thigh of the resume, right? This is where we talk about the things that you're going to pay me for. What are you going to pay me for? What am I bringing to the table that you're going to pay me for? You're going to pay me for the fact that I'm good at process improvement, process reengineering, HR, industrial relations, human resource management. I'm good at performance management. I'm good at recruitment and selection. I hope I didn't repeat any in there. I'm good at research, quantitative and qualitative data analysis, big data analysis. I'm good at team development, team building. I'm good at managing global teams. You see how far I went, eh? I didn't stop at 4, 6. So think about it that way, guys. When you're doing the skills bank, think about marrying your technical skills, which is the technical part of what you're good at, the meat of it. So if you're good at accounting, finance, HR, industrial relations, IT, whatever field you're in, that is your technical ability that you're selling. And what you're going to do is marry that with supervisory skills and managerial skills. Now, as a younger professional in your first 5 years, you may not have too much of that, and that is okay. But if you're selling yourself as a strong operational person, please understand that to get to the strategic level, you're going to have to show me what you can bring to the table in terms of supervisory and managerial skills. right? Moving on, we're going to discuss result-based or an achievement-based work histories. Now, this is going to be a little super resume kind of thing here, but I'm going to share this with you. If you are able to articulate your work history in a result-based manner and be able to put metrics, an employer may not even be able to pay you. Think about it. Okay, think about it from the field of sales. If you're a salesperson, right, and you're in your work history discussing your sales experience, if all you're talking about is the fact that you know how to cold call, you know how to do reports, no, show me that, okay, I met my sales target, every month for the past 12 months. Seen as a sales leader in my organization, conducts training to my subordinates and direct reports in training. Show me the things that would push me to say, yeah, man, I had to get a person on my team, right? So Ms. Valentine asks, so highlight the finer things you gain from the technical skills. I won't say finer things, but highlight the things that you're really good at. The things that no one can say that, no, she's not so good at that. No, make sure that it's on point and they're able to, quantify the technical things you're good at. All right, so just 2 slides on this section, although it's a lot. All right, we're going to talk about relevant professional memberships. Now, I always tell people, and I mean, look at your resumes and look at your career, see if this is something you can do. Look at the associations that you're a member of, right? So I can only talk about myself. As an HR professional, I am a member of the Society for Human Resource Management in the United States. I'm a member of the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and I am an HR mentor to a lot of young people in my field. So I would put on my resume all of these things. I've done lecturing for HRMAJ, Human Resource Management Association of Jamaica. I've done things for different clubs in like Rotary, Rotaract, all of these little things. So being a member of these clubs and having professional memberships highlights my commitment and passion for what I do. So I don't want to see in your resume that you're just an IT person. I want to see that you're probably a part of a Geek Squad. Geek Squad is not an insult, that is an actual term, right? Or you're a part of an IT team, you're part of different clubs that relate to IT where you will do different things in IT. So it shows me you have a passion for what you do, and this is not just something that you do to make money or you do it because whatever, but it shows commitment to what you do. Board appointments. Now, guys, if you're a member of a board, because I mean, it does happen. I know people who are in their early 20s who are directors on boards. Please declare this on your resume. Do not let your employer find out that you're a director of a club or an association. Otherwise, and it's not there. Make sure it's declared and it's on your resume. Your relevant volunteer activity. I volunteer for different organizations all over the United States and the Caribbean. So I do make that known that I have affiliations with this body, that body, Red Cross, all of that. So you let your employer know, okay, you have commitments to different things and you're showing volunteerism and altruism in your document. Also, if you have any international affiliations. Dominic has a question. Unmute and go ahead, Dominic.
Hi, I know you were talking about boards, but before I previously was on some church committees and stuff like that. And I was in roles like a vice president role and stuff like that and treasurer. So I was wondering if I could put that underneath my previous professional background as well as skills.
Okay, well, I would just suggest that church activities is deemed to be personal, right? That's your private life. What you do on a Sunday at church is not something that affects the organization, and it's simply put none of their business, right? However, Dominic, think about it this way. What's the word we use in whole day? Value, right?
Value.
If you're able to show that this appointment in that church has given you a particular level of skill where you can add value to your organization, go right ahead, knock yourself out and do it. But it's how you do it, Kyle. So what you can do, put vice president. I mean, clearly you're young, Dominic. As time goes by, you won't have space on your resume for these things, but you're at the point in your career where you need to show that you have transferable skills on the activities in your life. So if you're the vice president of the planning committee on the church, you need to put 3 points below there and show me the transferable skills that this position gives you. So it gives you skills in planning and coordinating. It gives you skills in scheduling and maintenance of so you would know how to articulate that and it could work. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Strong references listed. No, I didn't get to that earlier, but I want to share with you all that if you're going to put references in your resume, now I'll be honest with you, I don't have references in my resume. I don't put people's phone numbers out there in the public because it's just not safe to do that nowadays. But if you want to, and if your references don't mind you putting their names and numbers in the public, make sure that your resumes, that your references, are strong references, they're readily available, and they think very highly of you. When I say strong references, I don't mean physical strength, but I mean people who are in influential positions, such as managers, senior managers, CEOs, that type of thing. A reference should never be a family member. I know people always try to beat the system and put their brother-in-law and their sister-in-law, but please do not put any family members as a reference, right? 2 more points to end this topic. Look at the font of your resume. Is it a professional font? Is it the appropriate size? We'll evaluate that a little later on. Look at your resume and evaluate it from a professional standpoint and ask yourself, does this resume show MS Office sophistication? Does this resume show that I am a whiz at Microsoft Word? So think about the documents you have in front of you, right? So does anybody have any questions on that section? We're trying to wind up kind of quickly. We just have 2 more sections and then tips and tricks, and then we're able to go to the resumes. But does anybody have any questions or no? Gonna give you all a couple seconds. No, sir? Mia says no, capital N-O. No problem. All right, our next section speaks to the cohesion between skills and experience, right? No, that's fine, Mia, I was just joking. So skills and experience are definitely inextricably linked in the resume. You need to make sure that your skills and your experience go hand in hand, right? So under your skills part, make sure that you group your skills under functional headings. So when you're thinking about your technical skills, like for instance, for me in HR, I think of my functional HR skills first. So I always think about, okay, I'm good at recruitment and selection. I'm good at performance management. I'm good at industrial relations. I group those. As a manager, I'm good at certain things like managing cross-cultural teams. I'm good at things like team development. I'm good at coaching and mentoring. I group those. So look at your skills on your resume and see where they fall and see if you can group them, right? Now, I'm not saying to put headings. Don't put headings. Don't put any extra headings, but group your skills under the functional heading that you believe it should fall into. Ensure that your experience points relate to your overarching career. So if your overarching career is graphic design and it's IT, make sure that your experience aligns with that. Discuss transferable skills. We spoke about that earlier. We've been talking about that a lot. Discuss all of the things that you can do in your current job that will add value to the job you're going into or that you're aspiring to go into. And again, because I'm a broken record today, focus on value. Make sure that your skills add value to the company that you're applying to. Also, ensure that the language is results-oriented. So when you're reading through your work history, read and make sure the language is results-oriented and achievement-based once you're speaking about the skills that you're bringing to the table. Ensure that your experience aligned with the skills required for the job. So that as well could be a little bit of keywording, but just make sure the experience points aligns to the job that you want to go into. Right? Next, we're going to introduce metrics. Now, introducing metrics is a real power play in our resume. You see, when you have percentages on your resume, that's when you're good. I don't even have percentages on my resume, but there are people that do because they're able to quantify their experience and they're able to say that within their career, they've been able to achieve 5 out of 6 years sales targets or achieve 5.5 out of 6 years in sales target. That's 95% achievement. And you see when you start to talk percentages and figures, power play, definitely a power play in your resume. So that part was relatively short. Anybody has any questions on the cohesion between skills and experience, or we can move to the tips and tricks? Okay, so as you mentioned a while ago, ensure your experience matches your skills, right? Well, yeah, in terms of how you articulate it, right? What if your first and only experience was as an intern doing filing? All right, so look at transferable skills in that regard, Chantel, right? So if you only did filing, didn't you have to do a little bit more than that? Didn't you have to do things like managing your own time? Didn't you have to section off your work and do it properly? You didn't have to do some planning. Didn't you have to do some coordinating in terms of, okay, if I come to work at 8 a.m., I'm going to have to do this amount of filing by this particular time. So it's how you articulate your experience. Don't look at it as just, okay, well, all I did was filing, but look at the management, possible management aspects of what you have to do. And management is not just managing other people, it's managing yourself. So you had to do certain levels of planning, coordinating. I'm just giving you those two, but I'm sure you could sit down with a glass of water and come up with all the other things that you did. So you could discuss, okay, I did all of this in this job, and when I come to your job, I could do that to benefit your organization, and you're going to pay me for that. Right? You're most welcome, Chantel. So we're moving to tips and tricks, right? This is where I'm going to articulate for you my personal and professional tips and tricks. So while looking at your resume, these are the things you want to look at, right? So you want to look at always having a competency or skill-based approach. Make sure that you don't put your photo at the top of your resume. Now, I know, guys, you're going to hear people telling you put your picture. There's a lot of senior HR people who tell people put their pictures. For what reason? I don't know. But my advice, no real professional progressive organization is going to ask you for your photo on your resume. If they want it as a part of biodata when hiring you, that's fine. But if I need to see a picture of you in a bikini with a Snapchat photo, I'm not a serious employer then. All right? So label yourself as the expert to be hired. Now, I'm not telling you oversell yourself, but if you have passion for what you do, it would come across in your resume because you would see, like I have friends that call me Mr. HR because everything I do all over is always HR, right? So I'm always a part of some HR crowd, always giving back somewhere, always, because that's my field. So that's what I'm passionate about, right? Sterling, if you think looking cute might land you the job, bro, all power to you. But of course, you don't want to be hired because of cuteness. You want to be hired because of what you can produce and what you can do. You want to be taken seriously in your career. You all are toiling so hard all these years in UE to make sure that you get this proper credential that gives you the proper respect that you deserve. So make sure that you don't disgrace your degree by being hired because of cuteness. Cuteness don't last forever. Huh? I can tell you that it doesn't, right? Another tip, guys, leverage your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to be. Don't publish your resume on LinkedIn. Don't do that. That's too much information on the public. But make sure that you leverage usage of your LinkedIn network. Make sure and do posts, share ideas, thoughts, beliefs. Make sure you do keep it tasteful, but leverage your LinkedIn, right? If you're unsure about things and you have the money to do so, hire a master resume writer. Now, of course, if you want to get a dentist, you go to a qualified dentist, right? You don't go by the guy at the end of the street to pull out your teeth, right? So I say the same thing with resumes. Make sure that you go to someone who's qualified and able to assist you and can guide you on it if you wish to go down that road. If you know, because it's an investment, right? Ensure that your professional summary is always updated and relevant. Always. So continue revising it. Every couple of months, sit down, look at it. See, okay, does it reflect who I am now, or was it me a year ago? So, right, so go through what you have now and see if you need to do a little edit on it, right? Guys, please don't copy and paste your job description into your resume. Huh? So if you have a copy and pasted job description in the bottom of your position on your resume, take it out immediately, right? Because that takes up space as well, and then your resume end up being a whole bunch of pages and it gets boring and it's not attractive. It's not one that entices an employer to meet you, okay? Another safety aspect, and this is more for the females, although I think for everybody, we should all be safe at all times. Don't put your entire address on your resume, right? Now, if you live at number 3 Rainbow Drive, Sunrise Park, Trin City, please just put Sunrise Park, Trin City. There's no need to put number 3 Rainbow Drive. Remember, your resume becomes a public document when you send it to a company, and you need to be able to maintain a certain level of safety. So do not put your house number and your street on your resume. So if you have that on your resume in front of you, I would advise you to please kindly delete that part. You live number 3 Lange Park, Chaguanas, just put Lange Park, Chaguanas. Don't put the street, don't put the house number. Great. Moving on. Recommended fonts. Right? Recommended fonts, guys. Oh, Adele, you have your house number and stuff on your resume. Oh, no, I'm not telling you all to be ambiguous. Don't just put Chaguanas, Trinidad. You can put something near to where you live. Like you could put, if you live Sunrise Park, you live Lange Park, you live a particular area, no problem. Right? Is your address necessary? Asking because some employers think based on your location you'd be late. Please know that with equal opportunity, if you search the Equal Opportunity Act, you will see that discrimination based on location isn't there. So you want to make sure that you give and people can take the company to the EOC for discrimination based on location. It is covered, right? So you want to make sure that, sorry, your employer, just don't give the information. Just don't give it. So at least nobody has anything to discriminate on you against. Don't give it initially, right? I personally didn't land a job because of my location. But you know what, Chantel? That was not the job for you. It was not. The job for you will hire you and pay you well and treat you good and keep you. That job was not for you, right? You're moving soon, so you'll be out of date. I understand, Adele, right? Someone might order some food to your address. Earlier, don't send pizzas to the person address, please, unless you're paying for it online, right? Great, so we're moving on. So professional fonts, guys, ladies, please use either Arial Narrow, Calibri, or Arial. So if your resume is in Times New Roman, it's not a modern font. Nothing is wrong with Times New Roman, it's just not modern, right? So the modern fonts that are excellent and would really give you that type of edge and it looks sleek on paper, Arial Narrow, Calibri, or Arial. And you want to use size 11 or size 12. As time goes by, you're going to see you really need to use 11. But for now, you can probably get away with using 12 because you don't have that much information to put. Right? So we have some questions here. What about colors, like colored heading text or boxes? Kylie, you're pushing it, boy. Blue is fine. I can take blue on a resume. I can take dark gray. Please don't give me red. Please don't give me purple. Although it depends on the field you're in. I got a really, really beautiful purple resume recently. Although it was way too playful, I liked it because of how the person sold themselves on the resume. So I looked at it and was like, I want to meet this purple person bad. So you can get away with little things really once you know how to sell it. Must you only use one font throughout your resume? Ms. McIntosh is asking, for example, will it be bad to put your headings in Arial and your subheadings in Calibri? One font per resume, please. One font. Please. One font per resume. All right. Don't put your salary progression. No, this is something that I'm seeing happening a lot. I don't know where people, I don't know. So if your resume is in front of you and you have $3,000 to $5,000 on your job, take it out, please. That is not public information. All right, Kyle is asking, I was thinking like using one color for headings, which would make it easier to read. You can do that. That you can get away with that, Kyle. I would not do it really, but you can get away with it if it's tastefully done. If the colors are stark different, like if it's a burnt orange and you have no. But if you can tastefully do it, if you can do a dark blue and a lighter-ish, like a mid-level blue, fine. But I would stay away from it. Don't do it. All right. Be mindful of your social media footprint, guys, because people put these social media profiles on their resumes, and then of course it has information that can deem you unfit to hold a job. I'm just gonna be honest. Now, for the techie people in the room, Canva resumes and Canva templates. Who here use a Canva template for the resume today? Who in front of them has a Canva templated resume? Let me see who. Admit it, put it in the chat. Nandi has one. Sharice has one and Deandra has one. Nandi, I'm sorry, when you say we have one, what do you mean? We gives one to this, what do you mean?
No, the students who uploaded resumes to share, possibly to
Oh,
share.
we have a Canva template in there.
We have
Okay.
one, yes.
Guys, no Canva template, please. I'll tell you this, Canva templated resumes are beautiful, beautiful templates they have. But guess what? It will look that way on your end, and then when I get it, it's all over the page. Right? So Canva templated resumes do not translate well on different operating systems. It does not. Right? Now, I will tell you this, infographic resumes can be done on Canva, and nothing is wrong with that. I did an infographic resume for my sister last week, but it's not a serious document. My sister is an executive at a bank back home. So all she needed was something that looked cute for her to send to an association where she's going to be the director of. So it's not a young professional who is, putting themselves into a field for the first time and making sure that they're able to articulate all the things that they can do and all of that. Canva is not the place to do it. Right? So we have another question, a relatively long question from Damien. I'm loving the questions. Oh no, Jamie asked a question first. Jamie, even if it's saved as a PDF, yes. Even if it's saved as a PDF, somehow, I don't know. I honestly can't say why, but there are times where I get Canva templated resumes that are in a PDF style and it's all wonky, right? So just in the interest of safety and making sure that you don't want to put yourself in a position where your resume is not opening for the organization, right? So just don't use it. Don't use Canva. Use Canva for the cute things. Today's International Men's Day. Use a Canva template and send a greeting, but not a resume, all right? So Damien's question, when stating your CAPE qualifications, let's say I did 5 subjects, okay. Do I say 10 subjects? Okay. Damien, based on space, what my resume has, and it's under CXC. I attended a school in Port of Spain, and I did CXC and CAPE. I did CAPE there. And what I have on my resume is full CXC and CAPE certificates, because that's all I have space for. I have space for just those few words, full CXC and CAPE certificate. I don't have space for much more than that. Very soon, Damien, you're not going to have too much space on your resume. Now, some people will tell you to articulate every single subject you have and list it out. But I will tell you this, modern progressive organizations just need to know you have a full certificate. They're more concerned about what you can deliver. So remember, Damien, as you're getting older, you're in UE now, you're doing your degree, your CXC and stuff is just going to be a formality to say, okay, he has passed this level, so we expect that he understands subject and verb agreement, he understands present and past tense, he understands basic English things that he's supposed to learn in school. But on a technical level now in my company, what can he deliver to me? So he has all these CAPE subjects, right? So he has communication studies, Caribbean studies. He has, well, I didn't put the other subjects, but you have all of those things. I want to know, coming out of studying communication, can this person do a communications plan for my organization? Can this person, he has Caribbean studies, can he do a cross-cultural research project for me, finding out what Caribbean countries are doing in our line of business? Again, applicability, context, value. We have keyword studies. All these are keywords you all should go with when you all in your time by yourself. You remember Akeem Rel talk about value. Akeem Rel talk about articulating things well in such a way that it adds value. So in this, with listing out all of these units, I would say no. All right. So we're moving on to the last slide with tips and tricks. So be smart with your keywording, all right? Be smart with it. Don't copy and paste the, even if you're doing a grabber resume, nothing wrong with that, but don't copy and paste everything from the job advert into your resume. Don't do it, right? Study the application you're going after. So study what they're looking for. Make sure you can say, you go through it and say, okay, these are all things I can do. I fit this bill. So I want to make sure my resume articulates that well. Okay, create a power skills listing. Now, a power skills listing is a real power play in a resume. I spoke about power plays earlier. This is a power play as well. So separate from your skills bank, where you on your resume, where you have all of these really amazing technical and supervisory things you're good at, go down to the bottom, near to the bottom of your resume, or you can do it on the left if you have particular sidebars on your left side, because that's what I advocate that in resumes. Put a sidebar on the left, right? In there, I want you to put a power skills listing, right? In your power skills listing is where you're going to put all the things. I really don't like the term soft skills. That's why I use the terms power skills, because people who can master these things are powerful people in an organization. So on the side in your resume, put a power skills listing, and you're going to put things like reliability, dependability, honesty, ethical practice, integrity. Those are all the things that my company stands for, and it's in my resume. So it sounds kind of simple, but in that you can put like 6 to 8 things, because it gives you an added boost on your resume. I want to hire someone who's ethical. I want to hire someone who's honest. I want to hire someone who, if they make a mistake, they could come to me, hey, Mr. Branford, I saw the bottle, but I moved the bottle. You know, I really didn't mean to move it, but, you know, I'm letting you know I moved the bottle. So now if the bottle is missing and my CEO is quarreling about the bottle, I could defend my staff and say, hey, I take responsibility for that, you know? So make sure, guys, sorry, make sure that your power skills listing is really very strong and articulates the things that you're good at outside, or repeat the examples of the power skills. But you would know your power skills, right? Sterling gave an excellent one there. Resiliency, that's an excellent power skills. You know that tells me about Sterling. Sterling doesn't give up, right? Now it may sound cliche to some people, but I want to know that I can that I'm hiring somebody who is willing to tell me that they're resilient. I want to know that, right? So how long does it take to look at a resume? Oh, 6 seconds. You get 6 seconds to impress an HR professional or a hiring manager to meet you. It's just about 6 seconds. So if it is that someone only has 6 seconds to review your resume, what do you want them to read in that 6 seconds? Your professional summary, right? That is the place you want to shine. So we're moving forward. And the next one relates to shifting achievements from duties to metrics. So we spoke about that earlier, right? Now, it's difficult. I haven't even done it for mine. I'm telling you to do things that I haven't even done for myself. So just make sure that your resume speaks to figures, percentages. Now, it's hard. But it's not possible. It's not impossible. You can do it. You can go through your resume, go through that part of it, and see if you're able to pull out some percentages. Say, okay, even in my filing, the person who did filing, make sure you had 100% accuracy in all of your filing while you were there. So you can speak to achievements, speak to results. I can achieve 100% accuracy. So that speaks to that, that tells an employer she has great attention to detail. She has great planning and coordinating skills. She's able to manage her work. Those are the type of things you want an employer to know, right? Great. As time progresses, make necessary omissions. So the person who spoke about CAPE, Damien, you do know with time you're going to have to not put your CXC and CAPE because you won't have space. Or you can do like me and not omit it completely, but put full CXC and CAPE certificate. Because when you get up to the master's level and you doing all of these things because you're a bright guy, right? These are more the things that you're selling. You're not going to be selling the fact that you have a CAPE certificate, right? So Nandi's giving excellent advice here. You can start tracking figures going forward. This is really excellent advice. Start from now, track your career. When you go into a job, see, okay, is this something I could sell on my resume going forward? That I am just really excellent at this and I have made this high percentage in that. So thank you for that advice, Nandi. And then Damien says, yes, the resume will be evolving. Yes, definitely evolving. And I will tell you this, there are organizations, don't want to call names, we could always talk about that, but there are organizations who tell you flat out, I don't want to know if you have CXC or not, but then there are other organizations who tell you flat out, I want to know you have CXC English, because we all know that, the English language has been declining. People use text language in emails now, and you don't want to be that type of person. You want to be seen as a serious professional who articulates emails well and is able to do things the right way. So yes, Damien, thanks for that. Be mindful of your margins, right? Do not push your stuff, do not push your words too far on the ends of the page. Make sure you have proper clean margins. The thing that you can use to proofread your resume is called Grammarly. Grammarly. Grammarly is not something you have to pay for. You don't need Programmarly. Now, I need Programmarly because I do resumes as a business. So of course, with all the resumes I'm doing all the time, I don't have time to have regular Grammarly. And Emily puts it in the chat. That's excellent. Download Grammarly, everybody. Please use Grammarly, not just for your resume, but live with Grammarly. Grammarly does excellent work. Now, even if you're not able to download it, you could simply highlight your whole document, Control and A, and then use Shift and F7, Shift and Function F7, which will give you a basic proofread and edits of your documents. But Grammarly will give you edit suggestions in terms of subject and verb agreement, in terms of your languaging, if it's passive, that type of thing. So Grammarly gives you really good suggestions. So use Grammarly. So that's it for me today, guys. But, I can't leave without giving you all at least some kind of BHRS method on how you can leverage LinkedIn and what you can use. Sherlon, yes, it is an add-in for MS Office. It would attach itself to your MS Office on the top right-hand corner, and you're able to click it, and it would give you a full report on your document. All right. So guys, as I said before, leverage your LinkedIn. So you have a resume that is worthy of going out there into the job market and compete with the likes of people who hire me, or the likes of people who use resume templates, or the likes of people who have very, very cheeky email addresses. You're competing with everybody, right? And you want to make sure that your resume is the one that is selected. So when I pick up Sherlon Graham's resume, please note I'm going to research who he is. So I'm going to go on his LinkedIn, and I'm going to tell you 4 things that you need to do with LinkedIn. Create a strong banner. You can use Canva for that. You can introduce your career under your name. Use your credentials to your advantage and maximize on your summary section. Now, if you're unsure of your summary section, you see the resume you have in front of you, use your professional summary. From that, add it into your LinkedIn, add in your skills bank, all of that, add your power skills listing. You can add all of these things. So there's congruence between your resume and your LinkedIn. Structure, name, credentials if you want to, address in terms of general area, phone number, email, professional email, sorry. Your LinkedIn can go below that. Professional summary or objective below that. Objective includes, you know, what you're good at, what your goals, what you're bringing to the table, what you want to achieve. Professional summary articulates your fully developed professional identity, all the things you're good at, years of experience, sellable points, value that you're bringing to the table. Below that, fully developed skill bank, which has technical skills in it, married with, if you have managerial skills, grouped together under functional areas, right? Below that, work history, present position first. Duties below that should include result-based, should have a result-based orientation. Make sure you articulate the things that are contributing towards the overarching career that you have. Make sure your tense is in the present tense for your current job, past tense for the previous jobs before that. What came before work history was the skills bank, Shanice, right? Subsequent to that, you have a power skills listing, right? Your power skills listing is a really modern, people are going to tell you about a power skills listing. I'm telling you about that because I know what internationally sells. So put your power skills listing below there, 6 to 8 points. If you could put it on the left or below there, no problem. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything because I'm getting old, right? And then your references below that. So LinkedIn, last things, guys. Do engaging posts on LinkedIn. So if you don't want to create posts on yourself, share things, right? So look at things in your field, look at modern trends. So if you're in HR, look up the fact that in the United States right now, there's a woman suing the government so she can get bereavement leave because her dog died. Isn't that interesting? So look up the interesting things in your field and share that, right? Create discussions on topical matters. So when you do that, that would attract managers and headhunters to your profile, right? So keep away, now guys, this is another really big point. Keep away from politically polarizing viewpoints. If you're not too sure about it, just don't post about it. Reshare, engage, comment, and comment on posts on people who have higher followings than you, because that boosts your profile, right? So that is the end of my presentation for today. I will share my screen where you can now see my contact details. So my name is, everything is articulated there, so you all are able to see how to contact me. My website is my name, akeembranford.com. It's also branfordhrs.com. My number is there. If you all want to reach out to me to have a discussion, not a problem. You want to have your LinkedIn done, your resume done, not a problem. But I really think I gave you all some sage advice today so that you can edit what you already have, right? Now, the advice that I would give today is a masterclass in resumes. It's not to tell you anything different than you already know, but well, definitely tell you some things that will be a little bit different, but I would tell you things to leverage what you already have, right? So I know you all would already have the great resume fundamentals, all of the really great points, but hopefully today I would have given you all a little bit more, right? So that you all can go forward.
We do plan to have boot camps in the future. So
Yes.
you never know, students. Look out for that information. And also just to say, you know, the information that Akeem shared with us, information shared in previous sessions, sometimes it may be slightly different to each other. There are numerous ways to approach a resume. It's a very individual document. So it's not that anybody is right or necessarily wrong, right? It's about making the right decision for you, right? And getting that guidance as we got from Akeem this afternoon on possibilities in terms of improving your resume, right? So I want to thank Akeem, you know, for staying the length of time. The students want to thank you guys for coming out. Really appreciated the session this afternoon, your feedback, your interactive, you know, way of delivering it all was quite good, and we are very grateful. So, you know, just want to say thank you again, and That's our session for this afternoon. Happy Friday. Happy weekend, folks. Enjoy it. I know a lot of you all have assessments and coursework and different things looming ahead of you. So best of luck with all of that, students. And that ends our session.